There's a metaphor that I've heard once. If anyone has been in elementary school or has in elementary school, they got to play with clay that they had to fire in a kiln. If you were to make a cup out of that clay, could that cup that you've just made out of clay hold water? The answer is yes, it could hold water. It's a functioning cup, but is it a good cup? The answer is no. And why? Well, it's because the clay is wet. If you do let the clay dry out and you try to put water in it, the clay would eventually like break down and the water would come out and it would just be all over your hands and it's no longer a cup. Instead, it's just a holder of leaky water. But what happens? What do you need to do to make sure that cup is able to hold water? Well, you gotta stick it into the kiln. Is the kiln nice? No, that bad boy goes up to like 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit or whatever, or Celsius. It gets really hot and it gets really dry. Why is this important though? I mean, if we're gonna personify a cup or clay, how do you think it would be to be in there in a 3,000 degrees of Fahrenheit or Celsius? My guess is it's not fun. Let me tell you, living in Arizona in the summer, it's hot. It gets to like 110 maybe. It's a dry heat. Makes it a little different. I mean, coming from Hawaii and knowing what humidity is, or even visiting Taiwan, and that's a whole another level of humidity, let me tell you. But in Arizona, where it's a dry heat at 110, it sucks. Now, if I do some math, and that's only like 1,000, 100, that's like what, 1/100th of what it would feel like in that kiln as a piece of clay, and I'm guessing that it's not fun. But here's the thing, what happens after the process of going into the kiln? Well, what the kiln does is it removes all water and moisture out of that clay and making it super tough, making it super durable, making it so, that's right, it can now hold water. But for the clay to get there, it needs to go through the trials and tribulations of the kiln and facing that 3,000 degree heat to pull out all the moisture, to get out all the things that it needs to actually hold water. Sure, it can hold water, but you know what is better than something that just comes out the kiln? Something that's painted and beautiful that just comes out of the kiln. And here's the thing, once you apply the paint, guess what you have to do? You gotta throw it back in the kiln. And here's the most interesting thing though. The thing that I found with pottery or ceramics and paint and clay is that sometimes when you put a paint on and you put it in the kiln, sometimes it changes a different color.